Loops are a shorthand way to do multiple tasks in one, whether it's installing packages or some other action that you need to do many times. There are many different loop options in Ansible, and just like with variables, I'm only going to cover a few of the most common use cases today. The most common use of a loop in Ansible is something called with items, which basically just iterates over a list of items. In my own playbooks, I use with items a lot to install multiple packages in one task. Now, if you take our mariadb.yml file, for example, we can add more packages to this task by just modifying it slightly. So I'll just go ahead and delete the package name and change this to a variable called item. I'll change the state to installed, and then I'm going to include a with items here. And now I can go ahead and just list out all the packages that I want to install. So this basically allows me to have three tasks in one. Because if I were to write it out, I would have to do yum name equals package name, state equals installed or latest, and then do that three separate times. This allows me to loop over it so that all three packages are installed in one task. Now you can use with items with pretty much any list, so files, users, things like that. But like I said, I typically use this with packages all the time. So just exiting out of here, and I'm going to open up another file called loops.yml. And another loop option that I want to show you is with dict, which lets you iterate over a dictionary instead of a list. And if you remember from our YAML overview lesson, a dictionary is just key value pairs, so our loop would include both of those items. And we can use a with dict example to print out some Ansible facts about the environment. So looping over environment facts, debug message equals item.key equals item.value. And then we'll include the with dict to do Ansible underscore env for the environment. So these are facts gathered using the setup module. And there are many facts that have dictionaries associated with it, and Ansible env is one of them. So I just want to show how that's going to look when we run the playbook in a bit. So another loop option. With Ansible, you also have the ability to loop over files, and there are a few options for that. We have with files, with file glob, and with first found options. And an example of iterating over a file pattern with file glob would look something like this. So I'm going to loop over some files and then copy. So I'm going to use the copy module, set the source to a variable, item, the destination to a directory that I want to go to here. So that's going to be temp loops, which is a directory that I created on my target machine. And then I'm going to use the with file glob option to grab a pattern. So temp wildcard.conf, close my quotations. And so this is where, again, using the copy module, the source is where it's located on my target machine. So locally here in my temp directory, I have just a few comp files that I created and a few text files. So by including this pattern here, it's only going to copy over the configuration files instead of the text files as well. The last loop option that I want to show you is something called a do until loop. And this is basically used when you want to keep checking for a condition until it is met. And I'm just going to show you kind of an arbitrary example here. So do until something, shell echo hello. I'm going to register the output of that. I'm going to retry it 5 times with a delay of 5 times until output.standardout.find hello is not equal to -1. And that should do it. So I'll go ahead and save this out, and now we can run the playbook. So Ansible-playbook-I hosts loops.yml. So it's going to start with the setup, and it's going to print out my environment facts. So you can see here, it's giving me key value pairs. It's going to then loop over those files in my temp directory and copy them out, which it's doing here. And then my do until something is showing a changed, meaning that I echoed hello and then it stopped executing the loop.